Now in our application, we're storing the to-dos in memory, which means every time we refresh the app, all the to-dos reset to the default value, which is these 3 to-dos. Now in a real-world application, most likely you want to persist your changes, which means if I refresh the app, I want the to-dos that I deleted to remain deleted, as in when I refresh the app, they don't show up anymore. So in order to do that, we're going to need to create a database. Now a database allows us to persist our data even after we close our application. You may have noticed this with your social media account. So whenever you make a post and you close your browser, when you open up your browser again, you actually get the posts that you created, as in your account doesn't reset from 0. So that means that your data is stored in a database. Now, in our case, we're going to be using JSON server. Now, JSON server is an NPM package that allows you to spin up a small local server on your computer, and you're going to be able to create a database in the form of a JSON file. So this is the most simple way to create a database. It's just a file on your computer, and you know that files on your computer, even when you restart your computer, the files remain the same. So any change that you make will be persisted to that file. Now, in order to set up JSON server, it's pretty simple. I don't recommend installing it on your computer, but you should use the npx syntax. Now, npx means that it will install JSON server temporarily with the latest version and always run it with the latest version without having to install it on your computer. This is a good way to pretty much always get the latest version, and you don't have to manually update JSON server if you installed it with npm install. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a db.json file. The way we're going to do that is I'm going to go to the root of our application, and I'm going to create a file called db.json. Now, as you can see in this example, this is a sample of a default database with JSON server. And you can see it has posts and comments and profile. So these are what we call resources. And each time we start up JSON server, it's going to create specific endpoints to deliver these resources to us. Now, in order to explain this better, so this is going to be the architecture of our application and server. So our client is our React application, and our server is JSON server with the db.json file. And what we're going to do is we're going to request data from that server. So we're going to send one of these methods. So get is for getting data, post is for creating data, put is for updating data, and delete is for deleting data. So we're going to send our requests in the form of HTTP requests, and the server is going to return the information in the form of JSON. And this is a more accurate representation. So this is our React application, and this is our web server. This is JSON server, and this is the database, which is db.json. And we're going to communicate from our React application to the JSON server using the RESTful API standard, which is these methods. Now, there are more methods, but most of the time we're going to be working with these 4. And like I said, a server is just a program that runs on your computer that's only responsibility is to take your requests and give you back the information that you need. And that's what JSON server is. Now, our resource is actually the to-dos list. So in this case, I'm going to go back to our app.jsx, and we're going to take the data that we created earlier, so this array, and we're going to delete these 2 resources, and we're going to replace posts with to-dos. And we're going to put our array of data. Now we need to follow the JSON syntax and wrap these like this, because this is the specific JSON format that you need to follow. Otherwise, your JSON is considered invalid and the server won't understand it correctly. So right now we've created a resource called to-dos, and we can actually get that resource using our React application and request it from JSON server. And like I said, in real world application, this is how you're gonna build them, because you're not gonna have static data in your application. Most of the time, you're gonna have some kind of server, and you're gonna persist that information to the server so that when the user closes the application and reopens it, the application would actually still be there. So you won't actually store the data on the user's computer. You would actually store it on your own server, and you will send that data to the application when it actually needs it. Now that we have created our database and we have the to-dos resource, the way that JSON server is going to create the endpoints, and by endpoints I mean just simple URLs, is this way. So as you can see, we have the get method, which allows us to get information. So in our case, instead of posts, it's going to be to-dos. So to get all of the to-dos, we're going to do /to-dos. To get one single to-do, we're going to do /to-do/id. To create a to-do, we're going to do post/to-dos. And to update, we're going to use put or patch. And to delete, we're going to use delete. And obviously, so for updating and deleting, we're going to actually need the ID of the resource that we actually want to update. That's why we're sending the ID here, in order for the server to know which to-do is going to be modified. So now that we created our database file, let's try spinning up JSON server. So I'm going to copy this command, and I'm going to open up the terminal. I'm going to paste it, and now I'm going to press enter. It's going to take a while for the first time because it's actually downloading JSON server, and you have to say yes in order to give it permission to download and run. It's going to take a while. And now you can see that JSON server finished installing and it started up automatically, because npx downloads the script and then runs it. And as you can see, we can hit Control-C to quit the server. And you can see that it says it's watching db.json, which means that if we do any updates to this file, the server will automatically restart and start serving the new data. Kind of like with our React application, we don't have to refresh the app in order to get the updates. And as you can see, so we have the index. So this is the root of our server. So when I open this link, it's going to say JSON server. So it does have a nice interface by default. And it actually shows you the resource that we have, which is to-dos. And when I click this, it will actually return the JSON that we need. And if you look at the link, it says localhost 3000 /to-dos. So by default, it uses the port 3000 to serve our JSON server. And as you can see, this data is the exact same data that we have in our db.json file. And like I said previously, the server will automatically restart if we modify any of this data. So instead of learn React, we're going to say learn Angular. And you're going to notice with the terminal that it will restart. And if I open up here and a refresh, you can see that it now says learn Angular. So it served the new data without actually having to restart the JSON server. Now in my next video, I'm going to show you how to actually interact with the server from our React application. And I'm going to show you how to create and delete to-dos from our database. So thank you for watching, and see you in my next video.